In this lesson, we're going to learn about a different kind of tween called a shape tween. The tweens we've been working with so far are called motion tweens because they're specifically designed to animate items around the screen. A shape tween is what we want if we'd like an object to morph itself while it's being animated in other ways. So I'm going to start with a new file here. I'm going to use the Polystar tool. And I'm going to select my colors and put a shape on the stage. Now this time, I'm not going to do anything with symbols or the library. I'm just going to leave the shape as a shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my timeline, and I am going to go out a few frames. Let's say to frame 24 so that the tween lasts for 1 second. And I'm going to insert on the timeline a keyframe. So remember that keyframes are the endpoints of some kind of animation. So in the first keyframe, I've got my shape looking like the shape that I drew. And now I've got a second keyframe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the shape in this keyframe. I'm going to use my selection tool and deselect the shape, click somewhere on a blank area of the stage, and use the techniques that I've already learned about to change this shape into some other shape. Now, what I've got at this point is, if I use my playhead and drag it along my movie clip, I've got 23 frames of the shape looking like it was originally drawn, and then 1 frame of it looking rather bizarre. So what I want to do is create a smooth morphing between the first keyframe and the last. So I'm going to click on a frame somewhere in between that and insert, from the Insert menu, a shape tween. Now what's happened is Flash has redrawn all the intermediate shapes so that it changes ever so slightly from frame to frame until it starts off looking like I drew it and winds up looking like how I changed it. So if I play this movie, I see that I've got my morphing shape here. Just like that. And if I test the movie, we see we have this repeating movie clip of this shape morphing itself. And this brings up, well, what if I'd like it to morph and morph back? Well, that requires a little planning, so let's take a moment and see how that's done. I'll put that on a new layer. Let me add a new layer here, and I'm going to make the first layer invisible so I don't get distracted by it. And I'm going to put a new shape on the screen. Let's do a rectangle, maybe with some different colors here. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And since layer 2 was added after layer 1, I've already got 24 frames of this rectangle looking like a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the last frame of this layer, and I'm going to insert a keyframe in that frame. So now what I've got is a keyframe in frame 1, showing the rectangle as a rectangle, a keyframe in frame 24, showing the rectangle as a rectangle, and now I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, about midway, and insert another keyframe. And now it's this middle keyframe where I'm going to do my shape manipulation. I'm going to choose my selection tool, deselect my rectangle, and morph it. So now what I've got is several frames of the rectangle looking normal, several frames of the rectangle looking distorted, and then one final frame of the rectangle back to normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first half of this layer, and I'm going to insert a shape tween there, and we see some changes being made already. And Flash does its best guess as to how to get from one shape to the other. As you can see, it decided that a slight rotation was necessary. And then I'm going to click on the second half of this layer and insert another shape tween. And it more or less reverses the motion. So now I've got this new shape here, in addition to my previous shape. And we can see that the rectangle morphs and then morphs back, so that if I test the movie from the control menu, I see that as the movie clip repeats, I get this repeated behavior of the rectangle shape, whereas the polygon morphs and then snaps back to its original position. So you have both those options available to you depending on what sort of effect you're going for.